Excuse me. I'm about to go and talk to Howie.
Okay, sounds great. We're speaking.
Yep.
So,
All right. Y'all, sorry about the sound on the one that was continued. I'm going to actually, you can go. I'm good. Thank you. I'm going to go and try to just get a quick interview with Howie Meloch, one of the panel speakers, and maybe give you get some audio and visual of some of the follow-up conversations that they have. All right? Give me a second. So John Max, no queer and trans topics came up, but I'm going to ask that to Howie.
Somebody just gave me a cell phone, so if anybody is missing a phone, I have it, and I will sell it on the street. I have it. If somebody's missing a phone, and I'm going to take it to lost now.
But yeah, y'all, if y'all stay tuned, I am going to try to ask that question to Howie after he gets out of this conversation. For now, I think we're going to go over to some of the follow-up conversations that they're having. You know what, y'all? So they only...
Sorry about that, about the questions. They only allowed 2 questions, so I wasn't able to give questions. But I'm going to ask Howie, as soon as he's available, about just how has InterVarsity interacted with the transgender agenda that's part of the Black Lives Matter movement. How have they dealt with that, and how should we think better about that? So I'm going to ask that later. Right now, I'm just going to try to get in some of these conversations.
opposition is crazy, right? So first, share amount of race-based opposition.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm coming back. It's time to get this.
Go ahead. You
Right.
And Holder didn't like Christians. Obama likes them.
Right.
The lady now doesn't like Christians.
Right. There's so much in it. And yet you think about the changes that have to be made that are based on racial opposition. And honestly, the sheer amount of indifference that halts all of those changes. What we want is laws that permit people to inherit large tracts of money without paying any taxes. What we need is laws that permit DNA evidence to be presented later on after someone is locked up on death row for so many years. We're only going to get one. And so what can we do? We can give the Inheritance Act a push if, at some point, someone will let us pass a law.
But you don't sense that the fact that the two most powerful people in America have been black for 7 years has helped at all?
Honestly, I really cannot gauge any racial progress by the power of blackness.
Yeah.
And in part, that's because we still, as a country, are overtly preferential to women, not. And so, for the church, there's hope, because the church has a message that says it shouldn't be.
I'm jumping back up.
Oh, you're fine.
What are we talking about? Yeah. But seeing your work.
Hey,
Yeah.
can I? Okay. So I am live on Periscope right now.
All right.
I'm just let them see. So let me.
Hey, Periscope. Oh, that way?
There we go.
Sorry.
So can I ask you a question really quick?
Sure. Do you want to ask Karen too?
Yeah, Karen.
Karen
Can you jump in
Anderson?
here?
Yeah, Pastor.
So
Sure.
Karen, this is Karen and Howie. They was on the panel. So some of the audience, they've been asking the transgender, that question has come up. So I have a guy named John. He asked, like, how can we be more inclusive of them? But then also we had the other side of that was wondering, like, how is InterVarsity as a Christian organization aligning themselves well? Like, how is that possible to align yourself with the movement, or that says, like, that's part of their agenda? and some of their values may seem a little off. So can y'all maybe just tell us more about that? So both sides. One,
I'll let you start.
Yeah, I can do it on the InterVarsity.
How
yeah.
are you kind of InterVarsity as a Christian organization interacting with this transgender, whether the homosexual agenda?
Yeah.
And then also, how can we be more inclusive of that?
So I'm on InterVarsity staff, and so from my perspective, I think one of the things is, so one thing we need to affirm is that everyone has been given dignity and value by God, and that's not ours to give or to take away. That actually is given by God, and so we can affirm, and it's important for us to affirm the dignity and the value and the honor of every person. And I think if you can say, I see you, and you have value, is very significant. And the second thing I'd say, just as far as the different agendas, we all come into these spaces with mixed motives. So there's reasons that I'm there that are holy, and there's reasons that I'm there that are unholy. There's attention I want to draw to myself or not. So I think we just all have to say that all of us have mixed motives as we're coming in. None of us are kind of pure and like, oh, I'm only just here because I want to do the right thing or I want to whatever. So I think it's just kind of leveling the ground and to say, just because someone has a different orientation or has a different religion or has a different whatever than me, does that mean that I can't learn from them? No way. There's a ton that I can learn from people who are not like me, who don't think like me, who don't act like me. And I see it in Jesus, learning from people that aren't like him all the time. And so I think for me, it's like I can stand next to someone, and like even with Pastor Karen and I, we don't agree completely on everything, but can I learn from her? Oh yes, I can. Can she learn from me? Oh yes, we can. But it starts by saying, I believe that she has dignity and value and made in the image of God. So that would be just one way I'd answer those questions. So, yeah.
And I'm not far off of that. I just believe that everybody is created by God and God's image. It's not for me to judge a lifestyle. It's for me to see the humanity in someone. And the reality is, for me, once you begin to build a relationship, you realize that they're not, most of the people I've met in that community, they're not asking me to be in their community. They're not even asking me to be a part of their community. They're just asking me to acknowledge their right to be. And I think for most people, we want to be acknowledged as a right to be. As being a member of the African American community, which has always been othered, I find it difficult to exclude anyone because I've lived that. And so for me, it's a matter of understanding that there is the God in them. And when the God in them meets the God in me, everything else is left up to God. But God calls us to love one another, and God did not delineate who that other was. He said, your brothers and sisters, and we're all created in God's image. So I completely agree with Howie. We all have something to learn, and we all have something to bring. And when we can enter into a relationship and understand that and accept each other, then we can have a much better work period.
Yeah. All right. Anything y'all want to say about, a bunch of my friends who I've talked to who've been in this, they go to some guys, they realize, man, like, folks from the homosexual community, they kind of like been like the forerunners of this a little bit. That's what they recognize, and like y'all said, the church is catching up to that. Now the church has its own issues. Christians have their own issues of how to interact with the homosexual community, and so I guess the question is, how have y'all? So with what you already said, but how have y'all been like intentional about interacting with the homosexual community as they kind of lead?
You know what's interesting? I think the movement didn't necessarily start with the homosexual community. I think that's miscommunication.
Say it again?
It did not start with them. Okay. What really started were some young people stayed on the streets to begin this movement. And then what also happened was that young women began to say, we're on the streets every night, standing in danger. And so they began to lead. And then from that, all of these other pieces come into play, because the reality is people are othered, as people are disenfranchised, as people are marginalized, the issue of justice becomes real for them. And so they just become a part of the movement. And so it's not about let me use my I voice. It's not about me seeking to interact with the homosexual community. It's about me seeking to interact with young people who are fighting for justice on the streets of St. Louis. And whatever that orientation is, normally I learned that after the fact. I'm watching young people on the street fighting for justice, and I'm standing in solidarity with the need for justice.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. I think for me, it has been, the intentionality has just been to be in the space, and then whoever whoever's in the space, I consider they're an ally for the fight for justice. And so for me, it is to say that I am willing to listen and to learn and to say that you have value. So I think that's been the intentionality, has been to go into that space. And I'd say, like with Pastor Karen, is that everyone, as they engage in this, they begin to see the injustices all around them. And particularly in the United States, the LGBT youth community have experienced real injustice against them as a community. And so that has come out and been highlighted. And again, these are the stories you learn as you're present with people. I'm not seeking out after, it's not like I'm going, like I'm looking for that, but it's like I'm here because I want to express the value for Black lives, and these are other people that are wanting to do that as well. And Black life matters, all the diversity of Black life. Whether you have, and this is true for the sexual orientation, this would also be true for educational level, for economic status, for country of origin, all that other kind of stuff. I think we want to affirm it in its diversity of the value and dignity of Black life specifically.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Y'all got a lot of people waiting for you.
Awesome.
I don't know if they're waiting for us.
Yeah.
They seem to be doing something.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. I heard of Periscope, and now I bet on it. So look at that.
All right, y'all. I know some of y'all, there's still more conversation that you want to have about the Black Lives Matter movement. I'll tell you this, what I'm, without trying to minimalize or dodge, I'll say this, man, from what I'm learning from these leaders here who are kind of in the movement, what they care about, and at the heart of a lot of what I hear you guys saying, is what you care about is that, that Black Lives Matter, and that the injustices that are happening, that they are dismantled, and we want to see the real issue of people who are suffering injustice find both wholeness, healing, and then also a better world for them and those around them. And what I'm realizing is that is what these leaders are afterwards. So it's been a good day to kind of hear them and hear their comments. Thank y'all for hanging in there. Thanks for asking the tough questions, and continue to ask those questions. All right, y'all, if you have folk who are not on Periscope, get them on Periscope. Let them know about it. We'll be live casting some more things as time goes on. It's been a good day. I will check with y'all later.